sir. You're the director? Yeah.
The director, Pankaj Parasha, looked like a pretty-together sort of bloke.
Look around. Yeah? Yeah, sure. Don't get in the way. Look out. Can I stay back here? Yeah, sure. Stay out.
The star of the movie was the famous Madhuri. She was about to shoot a crucial scene in which she would react to her first sight of the male lead's hairstyle. I stood unobtrusively out of the way. I didn't want to blow a take because we professionals know that time means money.
Excuse me, sir. Please come this side. Thanks. Here you can come, please. Thank you. Up your door. Okay. Okay.
Everybody went on standby while Madhuri prepared for her next sequence. The busiest person on the set was the combined choreographer and dancing mistress, who demonstrated the routine one step at a time. Madhuri cranked up the grand passion and copied what the dancing mistress had shown her, while a powerful electric fan tousled her abundant hair and the waiting extras. I was well aware how privileged I was to be so close to Madhuri, because 350 million people would be watching the finished routine in the cinema, and most of the male Madhuri fans would be throwing coins at the screen in a vain attempt to attract the kind of attention that I was getting from her just by barging in. For the last shot, Madhuri drew deep on her reserve tank of ecstatic abandon. And that was the end of the day. Everyone had kindly forgotten how I had screwed up a take, so I was allowed to talk to the star.
You do it all little piece by little piece like that?
We don't do it in one go.
And the teacher teaches...
Yes, she teaches me the steps, what I'm supposed to do, and then I do it.
And you put it together and...
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I'm very impressed. Maybe I can do that.
Oh, sure. Why don't you come tomorrow? We can try it.
She thought she was joking, but I was beginning to have an idea. The fantasy world of Bombay movies was looking more attractive the more I saw of Bombay's reality. The film company kindly provided me with a limousine, but the road back to town was an eye-opener. This wasn't the kind of poverty you get after a natural disaster, with children starving to death. For the poor in Bombay, there is always something to eat if they look hard enough. It's just that they don't have time to do anything else. This is poverty as a way of life. It's career poverty. And the richer Bombay gets, the more poor people come in from the country to seize their chance of earning at least something. Theoretically, the new wealth at the top will trickle down. The official story is that it's already trickling. But you can't help feeling that it could trickle a bit harder yet. Nobody out here is in any danger of drowning in affluence. Only a few miles away from Film City, Juhu Beach is where the stars live, cooled by the spray of waves and the sea breeze, high up in apartment blocks with their windows open towards the west. The famous actress Shabana Azmi spends a lot of time helping the poor, so you can't blame her for spending some of her time in more pleasant surroundings.
To me, I think India, and particularly Bombay, is about people living simultaneously in several centuries. So you have people living back to back from the 17th to the 21st century. And you can see a bit of Bombay and feel, my God, we are into medieval times, and then suddenly get into this very swanky office and you get into this fabulous residence and you see that somebody's using the microwave while somebody's just making do with twigs right there on the pavement and making his own fire and cooking his food. So I think it's people at any given time and place encapsulate all the differences that arise out of these contradictions. And that's what Bombay, and that in fact is what India is all about.
Why do people keep coming to Bombay?
Because there's nothing for them in the villages where they live. And they come not in search of housing, they come in search of employment.
Can they all make a living here?
Anybody can make a living in Bombay. If you have energy, if you have drive, and if you have enterprise, anybody can make a living. There is this man who just occupies a little place on a pavement right outside a big jeweler shop. And all he's got is a little tin box in which he has his weapons, his implements, whatever you'll call it. And he strings beads and makes little earrings. I go to him every now and then, and I am amazed how his entire paraphernalia is contained in that one little tin box, and he is doing well, and he's managing to send money back home to the people who are part of his family. And that, to me, constantly, every time I see that man, I feel, wow, this is what Bombay is all about, you know. There is opportunity for all, and they will keep coming here.
Could you live anywhere else but here?
Nowhere else in the world. Nowhere else. I bitch, I moan, I grumble, I scream when I get caught in this traffic, when I'm faced with the pollution. I want to scream and bitch and moan. And yet you take me out of Bombay for 10 days and I'm gasping for the pollution. I'm gasping for the traffic, and I'm gasping for the noise. And I say, please, I don't want this sanitized, wonderful, beautiful air. I just wish to get back to my city.
If Shabana has a soft spot for Bombay's pollution, she isn't necessarily being soft in the head. Bombay is polluted because Bombay works. Even the garbage is someone's stock in trade. That trash the poor live in is picked over constantly for negotiable junk. Everything organic rots, but everything inorganic is recycled. The city is one huge recycling plant. It folds back into itself. It lives off itself. The only problem is that too many people are in on the act. Not all the new people in Bombay come in from the country. Weddings are big business, and marriages produce children. At roadside wedding parlors, the ceremonies last 2 days each. When I wandered into one by accident, I thought it was a festival. A girl who would soon be of marriageable age herself told me that the groom's party would think I knew the bride, and the bride's party would think I knew the groom. So all I had to do was stay cool, the hardest thing to do in Bombay. The groom arrived looking stunned. Many Indian marriages are arranged, and he looked as if his marriage had been arranged under anesthetic. Luckily, he had a couple of brothers to hold him up. The groom's party slow marched into the pavilion where the senior female relatives of the bride had accumulated to check him out. The bride looked overcome with joy. The groom looked as if he had never met her before in his life. Maybe he was just nerving himself up for the big challenge, which for an overwhelming number of Indian men is still to generate an overwhelming number of male children. The festivities were fun, but what's going to happen to all those children? That was the question that kept on nagging, even as I was carried away by the glittering tinsel, the generous warmth, the cheerful determination to take the visitor by the hand and shake the last drops of sweat out of him. And even if the people who are getting richer see the point of having fewer children, will the poor ever get the same idea? All they want is more boys. Girls are still thought of as an unfortunate byproduct, and a lot of them count themselves lucky if they attain the rank of child prostitute. There'll be no pretty weddings for these young ladies. A cynic might say that prostitution at least